Welcome back. This video is part 3 in a series of unsolved murders and missing persons in South Australia. I share the stories of each of these victims in the hope that it may jog someone's memory, or that so much time has now passed that they may feel comfortable in coming forward with information, no matter how small, to help bring closure for the families who so desperately wait for answers. Each part of the series will feature around 6 missing people or murder victims. So let's begin part 3. A subscriber asked me to include the murder case of her friend Emma, and we'll begin with her story. Emma Jade Pawelski had just celebrated her 30th birthday. Friends and family describe her as bright and funny, a person who cared about people and loved animals. Like many young people, when Emma began working and moved into a flat of her own, she fell in with the wrong crowd and became addicted to drugs. However, she eventually realised that was not the life she wanted and was clean and drug-free for the last few years of her life. But Emma's mum, Sharon, did not like the boyfriend she had moved in with, saying he gave out a bad vibe. At the last birthday dinner for her mum that Emma would attend, Sharon told her daughter that she should leave the man. She says Emma replied, "I know, but it's not that easy." Just a couple of weeks before her death, Emma called her mum, saying that she was in a little trouble and asking if she and her boyfriend could come stay with them. Sharon answered that Emma was welcome any time, but that she was not comfortable having the boyfriend in her home. That was the last conversation she had with her daughter. Just a few days before her death, Emma called her grandfather, telling him that she had left her boyfriend and was staying with friends in Prospect temporarily. It was later discovered that these friends had received threats, and at 5 a.m. on the 26th of November, they asked Emma to leave. A witness saw Emma later at around 9 a.m, walking along Regency Road at Prospect and carrying her beloved cat. That was the last time anyone saw Emma alive. 8 days later, bushwalkers discovered her body in the Mount Crawford forest. She had been beaten with a blunt object, so brutally that it had knocked out some of her teeth. The body had been set alight. She was wearing the same clothes as the one she had been sighted in. The body was unrecognisable. On the 5th of December, Emma's mum and her younger sister Hannah were watching the evening news when the story of the unidentified female's body aired. Sharon recognised a ring that she had given Emma and a bracelet that Emma's father had given to her as a birthday gift. She contacted Crime Stoppers, and identification was confirmed by dental records. Despite finding a couple of items, there was not enough physical evidence or DNA to track down the killer. But police believe Emma was murdered elsewhere and her body taken to the forest. They believe it is highly likely that the killer had helped disposing of the body, as it would have been practically impossible for one person to carry her 300 or 400 metres into the forest where she was found. Major crime detectives say they have a strong suspect, but not enough evidence for a conviction. They are asking for information on a red Ford Telstar the suspect was seen driving but did not own around the time of the murder, and a leather belt found at the scene of the body that did not belong to Emma. They are also urging the person who called and provided relevant information to call back. Emma's mum Sharon and her sister Hannah have been searching for the answers for 14 years. And Hannah has set up a Facebook page to share information. They are begging whoever is responsible, or anyone who knows who is responsible, to come forward and give their family those answers.
7 years ago, on the 4th of December 2005, my daughter Emma Jade Pawelski was found in the Mount Crawford forest. Since that day, Major Crime and myself and my family have been trying to find answers to solve this crime and to bring justice for her murder. We have been greatly impacted by this, and I just urge anyone who has any information, however insignificant they might feel it is, to please come forward and report to Major Crime or Crime Stoppers. My daughter Emma was a beautiful, vibrant young woman who had a lot to live for. She always had a smile on her face, and we actually miss her greatly. And not one day goes past that I don't think about her and just want it back. But that's not possible. So I just really urge the public to please, if you have any information, to please come forward with it. Emma's family, for Emma's sake mainly, but also for her family, we will be just so grateful for any information.
33-year-old Rosemary Brown was living at the Windsor Gardens Caravan Park with her 15-year-old daughter Melissa and her 11-year-old son Nathan. On May 3, 2000, they were evicted due to unpaid rent. They moved into another caravan in the park owned by Mark Nichols, but just 3 days later, when the park owner discovered the living arrangements, all four were evicted. It is understood the Brown family spent the night of May 6th and May 7th living in the caravan at the Garden Island boat ramp car park. It is not known if Mrs. Brown's male companion also stayed at the boat ramp, but on May 8th, the family and the man moved into the backyard of a friend's house in Blair Athol. Mark Nichols said that between 1:30 and 2:30 a.m. on the 13th of May, Rosemary left the caravan, accompanied by Melissa, to look for her son Nathan, who had left the caravan earlier following an argument. A witness says they saw the pair on Grand Junction Road in the early hours of that morning, but this was never confirmed. Nathan returned to the Blair Athol address the following morning after staying the night at a friend's house, but there was no sign of his mother or sister. Less than 12 hours later, Rosemary's handbag was found about 3 kilometres away, but was not handed into police until May 23rd. Nathan waited at the Blair Athol address for a week before Mark Nichols decided to return to his home state of Victoria, and Nathan was forced to return to his friend's house. Mark Nichols was considered a potential person of interest by police, but nothing appears to have come from this. Sadly, on July 2nd, just over 2 weeks later, Rosemary's body was discovered in the mangroves at Garden Island, 10 kilometres away from where they were staying, by a family fishing in the area. Some sources say she was strangled, although the cause of death was never released. Melissa was never sighted or heard from again and is believed to have been murdered. Nathan, who was 11 at the time, spent the next 5 years living with family members and friends until striking out on his own. He fell off the rails for a time, but now wants to be a house painter and says his daughters, Imogen, 6, and Ricky Lee, 4, keep him focused, but he still longs to know who killed his mother and why. Nathan maintains the hope that his sister, Melissa, may still be alive, but he knows the odds are small. The following is a clip from SA's Most Wanted. It contains footage of Rosemary, Melissa and Nathan, possibly from their eviction or during a disturbance at the caravan park. It is unclear who the baby is that Rosemary is holding.
In May 2000, mother and daughter, Rosemary and Melissa Brown, set out into the night at Blair Athol for what would be a fatal walk. Rosemary's body was found in mangroves at Garden Island 2 months later. But what happened to 15-year-old Melissa remains a mystery. But detectives haven't given up hope and are now reviewing the cold case, searching for a breakthrough.
Garden Island, Port Adelaide. dolphin sanctuary, water sport haven and fishing hotspot. And in May 2000, a murder scene.
A group of children made the gruesome discovery shortly before 5 o'clock last night. A woman's body floating in the Port River.
Some young children were out crabbing and were looking under rocks and so forth, and then came across what they believed to be a body and went back, told their parents, and the police were called.
33-year-old Rosemary Brown had disappeared 2 months earlier. She'd been living in a caravan at Dover Street, Blair Athol, with her daughter Melissa, when at 1:30 a.m. on May 13, they made the fatal decision to go looking for Rosemary's young son. But it's what happened next that remains a mystery. A witness saw the pair walking down Grand Junction Road towards the Stockade Botanical Park at Northfield. It would be the last time they were seen alive. Rosemary's handbag was found a day later, a few hundred metres away in Stirling Street. It's hoped advancements in DNA could shed light on who came into contact with it.
We're still looking at that, and that will be something we're endeavouring to look at with forensic services.
Like many cold cases, detectives do have a person of interest, but more information is needed to charge anyone. And with 2 suspected victims, police must consider the possibility there's more than one killer.
We're still looking into that. However, we are looking at other avenues as well, and with the help of the public, we're trying to identify potentially other people that may be involved.
And just as important as identifying those responsible is finding Melissa's body. Police believe there's little chance she's still alive, despite reported sightings both here and interstate, all of which have been investigated.
There's been a number of people coming forward and giving us information where they think she may be living now. We've conducted a number of inquiries in relation to that, and we haven't been able to prove that she is still alive. We would all like to live in hope that that is the case, but at this stage we're presuming that she is deceased.
A $1 million reward is on offer for anyone who can help catch those responsible or help police find Melissa's body. Will McDonald, 9 News.
If you or someone you know has any information about this case, please contact Crime Stoppers SA. There is a $200,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of Rosemary's killer, and a $1 million reward for information on the killer or location of Melissa's remains. 41-year-old mother of 3, Emily Wanganeen, lived a transient lifestyle with no fixed place of address and carried her personal belongings with her in a green supermarket bag. She was a familiar figure to people living in the Salisbury and Elizabeth areas. A heavy drinker and reportedly a drug user, Emily stayed with friends and family in Adelaide's north, with the last confirmed sighting of her walking on Tolmer Road at Elizabeth on the 27th of February 2010. Ms Wanganeen was reported missing on the 17th of March by family members. Her wandering lifestyle and lack of structure created challenges for police investigating the case. On the 13th of June, her body was found in a steep gully near a quarry on Blacktop Road, Gould Creek, by youths walking a dog. Her decomposing body was naked. Her clothes and the bag containing her belongings were nearby. Police say she was found in a steep, isolated area that was difficult to get to, and there are no suggestions she would have gone to that area for any reason. Investigators have not revealed how Emily died, but said the surrounding circumstances indicate that she was murdered. Major crime detectives now believe she was killed in a northern suburbs house before being loaded into a vehicle and taken to Gould Creek. Statements have been taken from a number of people, including her on-again, off-again long-term boyfriend, but no firm suspect has been identified in the case. A woman who took early morning walks with Emily and wishes to remain anonymous says Emily told her that she was in debt to a dealer, who she described as capable of anything. Someone called Crime Stoppers in December 2016 and gave information about a vehicle that may have been used to transport Emily from where she was killed to where she was dumped. Police are urging that person to call back. Investigators believe that within her circle of associates or former associates, people are talking about her death and urge them to come forward and talk to them. Emily's children, who now have children of their own, have set up a Facebook page in their mother's memory and are calling for anyone with information to come forward and help them find closure. If you or someone you know has any information on Emily's case, please contact Crime Stoppers SA. There is a $200,000 reward on offer for information leading to a conviction. On Friday, October 25th, 2002, 12-year-old Jennifer Liston returned home from school to find her mother's beaten, bloodied body on the floor of their Victor Harbour home. 46-year-old mother of two, Bernadette Liston, had been bashed, shot 5 times in the head and back, stabbed, and her throat had been cut. Bernadette had been living in a lesbian relationship with Frankie Marshall for some time and had given birth to a second daughter, Rebecca, in 1998. Rebecca's biological father was Frankie Marshall's brother, Darryl Purcell. As the investigation into the murder began, it was discovered that Bernadette had been having a secret affair with Marshall's brother since Rebecca's conception and was planning on moving in with him. Bernadette's sister, Christina Liston, said Bernadette had written a letter to her which didn't arrive until after Bernadette's death. In it she wrote that she was planning to leave Frankie, and although it wouldn't be easy, she was going to be fine. Christina said Bernadette and Frankie had a volatile relationship, and she had witnessed Frankie being verbally abusive to Bernadette many times. Major crime detectives said bloody footprints left by a pair of Ugg boots at the scene matched the size and style of Frankie Marshall. She had no alibi and plenty of motive. Marshall, then 61, was arrested in August 2008. During the trial in 2010, the prosecution added that the frenzied, brutal attack on Miss Liston was personal and far beyond anything an interrupted thief would inflict. There were also no signs of forced entry to the house. But Judge Nyland, presiding over the case, said there were several suspicious circumstances, but also a number of inconsistencies with the evidence. She said, "At the end of the day, I am left with motive combined with a number of items of evidence implicating the accused which are suspicious. But suspicion piled upon suspicion does not equate to proof beyond reasonable doubt. I am therefore obliged to return a verdict of not guilty." Bernadette's eldest daughter, Jennifer, now 29, has been left to grieve with no answers and no justice, and the fear that whoever committed the bloodied attack on her mother continues to walk free in the community.
Can you help police catch the killer who brutally murdered a Victor Harbour mother 16 years ago? 46-year-old Bernadette Liston was bashed, shot and stabbed at her home in 2002. Her body discovered by her 12-year-old daughter.
All I can think about is how scared she would have been. My kids have missed out on having her around. I just miss her so much.
Police suspect Bernadette knew her killer.
It was so vicious. They butchered her, and this person is walking around out there. And it's scary.
A $200,000 reward is available. Call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
31-year-old Peter Seaford was part owner of a mobile service station in Whyalla, in the state's mid-north. At 4 a.m. on March 12, 1989, he received a phone call that the service station had been broken into and the alarm had been activated. Police met Mr. Seaford at the service station, and it was discovered that an old water pump had been thrown through the front glass door. Peter's partner soon joined them with the keys so they could turn off the alarm. Both he and his associate realised that the day's takings were at Peter's unit on Essington Lewis Avenue, and Peter went back to retrieve them. His partner was still talking with the police when he returned, and Peter learned that there had been a unit break-in at his block that night, so he returned home. The partner went to the unit a short time later and found Peter Seaford on the floor inside with severe head injuries caused by several blows. He died as a result of the injuries. Between $500 and $1,000 were stolen. There is unmatched DNA recovered from the scene. In 2006, someone called a random phone number and asked that they pass on information about the case to police, which they did. Police say that the information the caller provided is intertwined with lines of inquiry they are currently following and are urging the person to call again. Peter's family are pleading for the person responsible or anyone with information to come forward and give them closure. There is a $200,000 reward for information leading to a conviction. 24-year-old Keith Robert Nixon and his wife Lynette ran a sheep and wheat farm in Victoria, but in January of every year they would holiday for 3 weeks at the West Beach Caravan Park in Adelaide, even booking the same site every year. Their daughter, Tricia, decided to stay and work in Adelaide. Then in 1994, the couple sold the farm and spent 18 months travelling around Australia, ending the trip in Adelaide, where they intended to stay. They had been staying at the park for almost 6 months, and Lynette had found work. On the 9th of May 1996, the couple looked at a property in Lockleys, intending to sign the papers to purchase it a few days later. The following day, May 30th, began as usual. Lynette went to work, and Keith washed the breakfast dishes, tidied the caravan, and withdrew $250 from the bank, as he did each fortnight. He walked to the park kiosk and purchased a newspaper. The caravan park's gardener, Mark, chatted to Keith as he walked along an old trail at the back of the park, overlooking the beach. Their daughter, Tricia, arrived at the park at 12:45 p.m. to find her parents' 4-wheel drive parked out the front, the key to the caravan in its hiding spot, but no sign of her dad. His wallet, reading glasses and keys were there, and Tricia thought that he must have been visiting someone. Lynette returned from work and noticed washing was still on the line outside the toilet block, and that her husband's wallet and credit card were untouched, and panic began to set in. By 9 p.m. they rang all their friends in Adelaide to no avail, and at 9:30 they called the Glenelg police station to report Keith missing. An air, land and sea search was carried out, but no sign of Keith Nixon was ever found. His family say Keith was happy at the time of his disappearance, financially secure and looking forward to this stage of his life. His daughter said that the night before he vanished, he was talking about the new house at Lockleys, planning where the spa would go and where to put the bird aviaries he brought from the farm. Keith's wife, Lynette, now lives just 3 streets away from the house they planned to purchase. Tricia, who was 23 at the time, has not stopped searching for her father since 1996, always fighting to keep his story out there and never giving up hope, and has set up a Facebook page in her father's name to spread the word even farther. She has placed a bench at the place where Keith was last seen, overlooking the ocean, where her family spent happy holidays together for more than 20 years.
Murder.
It's the most serious crime.
How would you feel if your friend or relative was a victim?
And the case remain unsolved.
No clues, no goodbyes, and sometimes no body.
While the killer continues to live their life.
Never charged, never held accountable.
You would feel angry, helpless and frustrated.
You'd want justice.
You can help.
If you have any information,
no matter how minor,
ring Crime Stoppers.
See a lawyer.
There's significant rewards on offer.